Welcome to another G4 Guitar Teacher Network Hangout. My name is David Hart, and we will do our standard question Q&A set up tonight. And I've got Jonathan here from Adelaide and Shane from the UK. So yeah, I'll just start with you, Jonathan. What would you like to speak about tonight?
Yeah, mainly just getting to the point where wanting to start delegating work such as flyering to someone else. So look at doing that, as well as some different ideas for signage at the front of my shop front, because I don't get much foot traffic. I only get really vehicle traffic at the front of where I am at the moment. So just some other ideas. I've currently got a banner out the front and a couple of things on the wall, but I feel like I need something else as well. So maybe a couple of other ideas for that. Okay,
cool. All right, so we'll start with the first one there and talk about delegating, and then we'll have a look at the signage as well.
Cool.
Okay. So the delegating is really, I see everything that you do within your business as systemizing. So it's not a kind of a matter of just handing it over to anybody who's willing to do it, or the process that, and I went through this, and it's the classic mistake that most small business people make, and that is that they look for someone for a job. And generally within your business, you grow to a certain point where you can't do it all yourself. You're too busy. So that's when you start looking to employ someone. And when we employ that person, the mistake that we make is that we create the job around them rather than creating the job first and then finding the person to fit that role. So it would be a bit like putting a band together and finding somebody that that you like and you think's all right. Never played a guitar before, never played drums before, and you say, hey, can you play the drums? And so what we need to do is say, well, what I need is a drummer, and then we go looking for a drummer. We interview drummers for the role of drummers. Now, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to find a person who is already like a drummer, if we stick with that analogy, but you need to have need to have the program and their role exactly what you want them to do. You need to be able to do this, and this, and if there's a certain amount of training involved, that's cool. But you need the role needs to be specific. So rather than taking the drummer who's actually a guitarist turns up as a guitarist, and you go, oh God, I don't really need it. I was looking for a drummer, but okay, you play guitar, so I'll take you instead. That's the wrong way to go about it. So in terms of your business, and it sounds funny, but it's what most people in business do, is that the person turns up and they don't really want to do the job that you're asking them to do, or they're not really very good for it, or qualified, or the right personality, whatever it is. And so then what they do is they give them a different job just to keep them busy, rather than creating the role and then finding the person for it. So really to sum up here is that you've got to look at your business overall, and you've got to start saying, what are the roles that I want to be able to hand over to somebody else? And the first one here is obviously flyers. That's really important for you. So you've got to say, okay, what is the role of the person who does the flyers? And on the surface, it might seem it's a no-brainer. Here are the flyers, just go out and put them in people's letterboxes. It's that simple. But in fact, I know, and I think you know as well, that you need someone who is not going to complain after they've walked for a couple of hours a day. And a lot of people will. They'll feel like it's hard work and they're tired and they don't really want to do it. So you want to find someone who really actually enjoys the walking, loves to be out in the fresh air and do all that sort of thing. So that's the right kind of person for the job. You also need someone who's going to be honest and reliable. Now, of course, we want everyone that we hire to be honest and reliable, but in a job where hopefully you eventually can step away from it and they can keep doing the flyers, you've got to find the person who you can trust, that will do the job. So you've got to think about the kind of person you're interviewing. I'm not saying that you're going to sort of look at someone, are you honest or dishonest, because most people are going to present themselves as honest, and you probably wouldn't hire anyone who you felt was dishonest anyway. But what you've got to do is put things in place to check their honesty, to check whether or not they're getting the job done, because it's not necessarily that they're dishonest, It's just that they will often justify that the job is not worth what they're getting paid, so they're not going to put in the effort. So it's not just about the honesty, it's also about the communication between you and the person who's doing it. So if they say to you, look, this is a really hard job, I'm going to do it properly, I promise you, but I want to get paid more, then that might be something that kind of person, to me, is, okay, well, they're honest. They're saying they want more money for the job. You know, they're being upfront. They're not trying to, you know, half do the job. And then, because we've had cases, there's been a few members who have mentioned where they've, you know, we had one actual customer, not customer, but a local, who took a picture of all these flyers that were dumped in a bin and said, I just found these all in the bin. So, you know, so the person who did it, we knew was guilty of it, but still it's been done because there was no tracking system in place. So that's just one of the areas. Have you got any, what do you think else you would want to delegate within your business?
Not sure yet. I don't have the numbers to really delegate anything else at this stage. Like, yeah, eventually we'll delegate teaching and whatnot, and then hopefully one day I can delegate the sales process. But yeah, that's looking into the future. Hopefully, like mid next year, I can start doing that. Fingers crossed. So, yeah.
Cool. So, what you want to do now is start, because it takes time to develop the roles in your own mind. So, what you've got to think about is that you're in those roles. So, you're the teacher, you're the administrator, you're the salesperson, you're the marketing manager, you're you know, the cleaner. So you're doing all these different roles. So what you have to do is make sure you're very clear on those roles and how you're going to when you bring in someone and to take over that role, have you got a document where, or videos where you show exactly how to do each and every role. So to give you an example, with my assistant Sizer, I use Evernote, and I have exact steps for processes that she needs to do. So if she has to make a website, or has to you know, post testimonials for you guys, or needs to make, you know, some kind of design for me, or put a blog together, you know, post a blog, or all these jobs that I used to do that she now does, she does via a script. And we've even taken it one step further, whereas when I have a new job, I'll go through the job with her, and then I'll get her to write it down. So I'll just sort of say to her, okay, this is the job, or if I'm missing steps, I'll say, go back to the Evernote and fill in those steps. So she's actually developing the script for the role, or the steps, as well as actually doing the role. And that means that there will come a point where, you know, as we grow, that she will then be in charge. She'll be kind of the manager of the administration side of the business, and then she will hire other people to come in, and then she will teach them the role, or simply give them the steps, and they'll be able to follow it very easily. So she'll have everything she needs, and that way we know everything's getting done. If you look behind, you know, most successful operations, or big operations, this is exactly what they have, because you can't have a big operation without it. You know, if we go back to the kind of the musical analogy, if you look at a concert tour, take any big band that you like, you know, Bon Jovi, Kiss, Metallica, you know, any of the touring artists, you will see an amazing set of systems that put it all together and make it happen. And everybody knows their role, and everybody has an actual script. They know what the steps are, how to set this scaffolding up, how to lay, you know, the leads down, what amps need to be on stage, what they need to be set to, what guitars exactly does this guitarist have, you know, how should they all be tuned, the whole thing. These guys don't do anything themselves. They have it all done for them. But every person who does a certain job has a role to play, and if they fail in their, you know, God help them, because it's you know, the whole show can come apart if that one, you know, important person doesn't do their job. So yeah, so that's what you're doing, is you're building the business. And have you read the E-Myth yet, by any chance?
I've listened to it on the audiobook, So yeah, I find the audiobooks a lot easier to work with. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I had it before audiobooks came about, but I think there is sometimes for the really good books, the ones that are important. I think it's worth having a written copy, a printed copy, because you can go through and mark the book. I had for a few years. I don't have it now actually. I gave it to somebody as a present, I think. But I had all notes all through the book where I sort of write things, and it is the kind of book where it really never stops. I still refer to it. I still think about it, and I still compare where I'm at in the process. And everybody, even he, would look at his own book. Even he would keep referring to the way that his business is set up, because no business is ever perfect. It's just your systems hopefully are improving and evolving all the time.
Yeah, all down. So with the systems, would it be a good idea just to write down all of those different roles that I'm currently doing? So, and then write a little bit of a job description of each, so I sort of know what to do when the point of time is to get rid of them and to delegate them.
Yeah, I found the best way to do it was to start off by just kind of roughly having the roles. So you think about look at a big company, because there's kind of a saying that if you design your business around a big company, you'll become big. If you design it around a small one, you'll stay small. So look at the kind of structure of a big company, and what you're seeing really is, because big companies, most of them started small, and they gradually grew in adding departments to do different things. So initially there was probably one or two people who did everything. If you look at Google, for example, Brent Page and Sergey Brin, they did everything themselves in the beginning from a garage, and then eventually they brought in another person to help here and another person to help there, and now they've got thousands of people working around the clock on all sorts of things. But they would have had to have delegated each of those areas. So sorry, coming back to how I would do it, is that I would just start off with the basic roles, the ones I mentioned a bit earlier, and then start looking at each job and writing it down step by step. And that might seem a tedious task, but it's going to take you've got to kind of put these together, and we're putting them together as well. G4 is about giving you a lot of those systems as well. You're not, hopefully you're not having to do your lesson plans, because the G4 is a lesson plan. That's the beauty of it, right? So that saves a lot of time. Also in design, thinking about your signs and whatever, you don't have to think so much about them, because we've already got the basic layouts. We've got the fonts that we use. We know that kind of the designs, the design of your flyer. You don't have to worry about that, because we've got that covered. So all these things that we've got covered are already, you're leveraging off, which are helping you to grow your business. But things like, coming into your school, when you open up, what are the steps? What's the first thing you do? Do you put the sign out? Do you open the door? Do you sweep the footpath? What do you do? So write those steps down as if you're going to give that job to someone else, in a week or two or a month from now. Think about it in those terms, and that way you'll have it all written out. And then when you do bring someone in, then they can simply follow those steps. All right? Cool. Okay, so let's have a look at. I'll come back to the signage in a minute, because I'll just ask Shane. Shane, have you got a question that you want to tackle? Problem, challenge, anything that you can think of? Is Shane hearing us?
Yeah. Hi,
yep.
I'm here.
Yeah,
it
cool.
always takes me a second to get to the mute button.
Right, okay, no worries.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say that I love the EMF, and I did what he suggested to make like a chart of all the positions with the CEO and the VP marketing, VP operations, and all that stuff, and wrote out a contract for each position and signed it myself.
Right.
And it's if nothing, I mean, I can see how when I fill all these positions in with other people, it'll be really easy for them to step in, because I'll have already written it all out and done it all out. But it's actually really helped me with organizing, like, because I have so much stuff to do, like an almost unbearable amount of stuff to do that just thinking about it can like weigh me down. So if I separate it into like today, I'm just the finance manager today, and that's it. Then I can just do all that stuff, and it really helps a lot. The other thing I was going to say is that you can, at least with Audible, make bookmarks and write notes, which I do all the time.
Yep.
So because I do probably prefer a paper book for making notes, but if you're doing a lot of walking, especially for flyering, that's a great time to listen to audiobooks, and then it kind of works that way. You can make notes, at least with Audible. I don't know about iTunes or other things like that. In terms of stuff I want to talk about today, I guess I recently found a really good deal that I couldn't pass up on a Smartboard. So I bought a Smartboard, and all last week I was using it in my lessons.
Beautiful. And
it was very cool. So I guess I wanted to bring it up just in case anybody has any ideas of what to do with a Smartboard. Basically, because I can like put a blank staff on it and write notes, and everybody still has their music stand in front of them, and they flip to the page that they're going to use, but I can, like, for the reading, I can point at the board and make notes and stuff and say, we're going to take it from here, instead of having to lean over everybody's stand and show them what I mean. So
funny you say that, because all us Adelaide guys got together on Saturday, and Fernando's just started using a monitor for all his teaching, and he doesn't have, the students don't bring their folders, they don't have them on stands, they just use it for the practice log now, and he just flicks between all the lesson stuff, or the method on the screen now. So he's finding it really effective. So and with the Smartboard, you're got extra benefits there. When I was doing classroom teaching, I used to get a picture of a keyboard from the internet, like a piano keyboard, and used to do the theory on the Smartboard. So one thing, especially with like intervals or something like that, get the kids to come up, or students I should say, and go, that's a C, now play me the major third from C, so they'll now hit an E. So, and then they can hear it as well, because it's got the sound with it.
So I mean, I did try that for a couple lessons, having no stands at all, and I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm not smooth enough on the Smartboard yet, but I just found it a bit strange not having them actually look at the books. And I guess this is why I want to bring it up, because I know someone made a Facebook post about it at some point, replacing music stands with Smartboard. But then I sort of also have a concern that students might take it as a sign that they don't need to open their books when they go home, So, I'd be curious. Who is that? Fernando?
Yeah, Fernando has been doing it with a monitor now, and he's loving it.
I don't think I've met Fernando.
Okay. Latino fella.
Right. Okay.
Where's he from?
Flagstaff Hill.
Salvador or something?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yep. I think that it will take a little bit of adjusting, because we've known nothing else using a music stand our whole lives, so it's going to feel almost like we're a bit exposed, not having a music stand in front of us. And I know what you're saying, that the students might be less compelled to open their folders when they get home. Bringing them to that folder and saying, well, here it is. But I think we're going to have to eventually roll with the technology, and we want to get things as happening as efficiently as possible. And I think there's going to be a fair bit of work, first of all, if we come back to kind of the e-myth idea, coming back into getting our slides right and everything right, so that when we're using the screen, that it's up there. And the other thing, I see coming a little bit further down the track is, rather than the students having folders, they'll have iPads, and you'll be able to link in on the iPad and find exactly what they need via an iPad. So yeah, those kind of things will happen. Really, what I see as the first stage for you guys in your studios is having that freedom to be able to move the stands away and see the students fully without being blocked in any way, and then being able to see and keeping them all sort of focused on what's going on the screen in one place. That's my main thing, is getting their attention into one place, all over the place. So
yeah,
cool. And you think about time spent turning pages, finding pages, all that sort of stuff.
That's
with
kids.
Yeah, they're messing around, rattling around, dropping their picks, dropping their guitars, standing up, and
God.
So, and I used to do it for them. I actually didn't let them. That's how kind of the way that I did it was, I didn't want students to be fiddling around with their folders, so I would actually physically go around and turn their pages, and have them on the right page while they were still, usually towards the end of the exercise. So if we were doing like chords or something, I would just as I knew I was rounding up on the chords, I would flick them over to the whatever score we were doing next.
Yeah, I do the same thing actually. I just dream of a world when they can turn their own pages. I don't know.
Well, turn it, and go to the right spot straight away without, too much time. But yeah, I think that world will never need to happen, because we'll definitely will go to the screen. And if the folders are kept in, the proper order, it's easy for, you pull it up on the screen and you want them to know where to find it in the folder. If the page is up there, if it says page 7, they should know where to find it, page 7. But you've got a lot of noise going on there. Is construction.
Someone's replacing my electricity meter. Actually, I was expecting to do the hangout an hour later, but the clock's changed in the UK and apparently not in Australia. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're an hour earlier than I thought we would be. So that's why it's so noisy. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. That's why no one's here, because it looks like they've all got the wrong time.
Yeah, I think you're going to get a lot of people saying, "Oh, I missed the hangout."
Yeah. That's all right. I might have to extend it.
The clocks just changed yesterday.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we'll go an extra half hour for the guys when they turn up a bit later. So, okay, so that's good. That's good to know. Right, so let's go on to the signage, and we'll talk about what you can do with your premise. I had a look at some of the premises in Sydney while I was there, and they got some signs and there are a few things happening. But with the locations that I looked at, and I've seen this not just in Sydney, across the board, is they're really not using the space that they've got anywhere near as effectively as they could. And a common thing that we think about, or we kind of justify, is that we can't afford it. That signs are expensive. It's going to cost us $1,000 or $2,000 in signage to get the signs right. But the fact is that when you look at the rent that you pay, and I'm talking about some of these guys paying near around $30,000 a year in rent, for their premise. And so to not spend a couple of $1,000s on signage for a place that's costing you $30 grand a year, or even $10,000 a year, is just crazy, because you're not capitalizing on your investment. It's how can I say, it's like buying a house for an investment and never renting it out. If you don't get the full return on your investment, you're going to lose a lot of money. And so part of when you rent a premises is you have to build into it some costs of signage. And the way to think about it, and I've explained this a few times in other Hangouts, and the way to think about it is kind of the Robert Kiyosaki approach, is that it's not losing money to spend $2,000 or even more on your signage when you've got the exposure. So if people are going to see the signs, then it's worth spending. If they're not going to see the signs, it's a different thing. If you're up a back alley where that nobody ever comes, then it will be a waste of money. But if you've got, and these guys that I'm talking about have, and they've got a lot of cars coming past their front and pedestrians and whatever, so they're really not capitalising at all, or to the degree that they should, on that traffic. So just to give you an idea of how it sort of looks, if I was to go and borrow from the bank, and this is what it cost you. This is the realistic numbers. So if I went and borrowed $2,000, and I paid that off over 5 years, so let's just whack it on the credit card even for 5 years. I'm going to get on the credit card at a high interest rate. This is the worst possible way you can borrow. So putting $2,000 on a credit card for 5 years, you're going to end up paying back 100% in interest, because they charge. I don't know what they charge on your particular credit cards, but I pay 13%. But I know their credit cards that pay 18% and 90% like that. So let's just say you pay 100%. So you end up borrow the $2,000 on your credit card, and you end up paying 100% in interest. This is the worst case scenario, and so you end up paying $4,000. So the $4,000 over that 5 years will cost you, if we do it over 60 months, right? It will cost you $67 a month. So to have that sign up there and for $67 a month and good signage, then if you get one student back out of that, we know the average is $2,000 per student, then you've already covered half of your cost. If you get 2 students, then you've covered your cost, well and truly covered your cost. Now, the odds are that when you put your signage up, that you're going to get a student fairly quickly if it's working. They should come in with it within the first month or 2 months. So that student will be then paying you $100 a month. So you'll already be making a profit on your $67 a month that you're paying on your repayments. So therefore, you can't lose. It's just a win-win situation. So get your signage if you have to put it on your credit card, but make sure it's right. So yes, take a little bit of time to design it and get it all looking right. Don't sort of, the worst scenario, and this happens a lot, is where we sort of throw up these Band-Aid solutions where we sort of put a little sign here and another little one here and then this one here, and they don't look right. It looks messy. So have a look at your shopfront, have a look at all your signage options, and then design something that'll work for the whole place at one time, and then go ahead and get it done. Borrow the money and make it happen, and then you should get a good result. I just had a look at here in Cairns, a new what are they called? Flight centres, new flight centre, and the shop frontage for this new flight centre is just absolutely amazing. It's futuristic. They've got screens on the side. It's got a corner, so they've got a bit in the, sorry, what they've got is a counter in the middle, at the front of the shop, sorry, in the middle, and behind it a big, massive screen. And then over to the side, at the front, they've got a big sign that looks like an airport sign where it's got, Auckland, Osaka, Toronto, whatever, and then, with the little clickers, and then the price. So it looks fantastic. And then over to the other sides, on both around the corner, on the very sides, they've got these other smaller screens that are showing up special offers and videos and whatever. So they're kind of changing signs. So all this activity going on. The colours all look great. The whole place looks fantastic, and the and it's got a very openness about it as well. You feel that there's two people standing there at the counter with a big screen behind them, so you kind of feel that you can just go up and ask them a question, and then they got the people behind who are at the desks. And they used to have it so you'd go to the desks and you'd have to wait, but now they've got that front counter with people who meet you as soon as you walk in, and then they'll say, okay, if you need someone to speak to, just take a seat over here, etc., etc. So it's just an amazing fit out, and what I really like about it is the modernness of it and the openness of it, and the fact that they've got lots of information flashing up on screens to keep you informed. So you're not necessarily needing to talk to someone. The whole place is like a big computer internet interface with real people kind of thing. It's like it's all in one. So, and I'm not suggesting that you need to do this, but it depends on where you are, of course, but having a big screen or a screen that's at your front could be something that's worth thinking about as well, where you're running it off slides off a computer, running videos even on it. Anything that's going to give people some information or make you look just that little bit more modern and with the times. So. But in the meantime, even if you don't have the screen, you definitely want to get your signs set up. So, Jonathan, maybe what you want to do, and this is again across the board, and I think we should be doing more of this, is to where you guys take pictures of your locations and all the sign opportunities, and send them across to me. Let me have a bit of a look at it and give you a bit of an idea, and then we can start throwing them up on the Facebook page as well, because I'm not a graphic designer, and there's a couple of guys in the system who are quite good with this sort of stuff. I had a chat to Aaron in Sydney, and he's just opened his location, and even though I haven't seen it, I just get the feeling with Aaron, because he's quite particular about things and the layout and the look, and I think he's someone who could give you the right advice, who could tell you whether or not that sign is going to look right. I just get,
I'm taking photos tomorrow of where I am and where I can have the signage, and then go from there. Because my only problem is I've got next to no foot traffic, so it's all just cars because I'm on one of the main roads. So when you said like a screen outside, I might go to Coates Hire, see what those big road sign little things are like, how much they are, to just hire for a little bit. If I get any traffic that way, just have like the $99 special or learn guitar on there just flashing through maybe. I don't know.
It sounds like something that you might want to try, and if you can just find out, see what they're worth, and I think the first thing that we want to do though is, if you've got frontage, I know you do, I know you're on a busy road, then get some photos of that frontage, but from the perspective of where the cars are going to see you. You can get some close-ups as well, but if you know that 99% of people are actually going to see a sign and come in, if it's a little sign and can't be read, or you're putting too much information on it, sometimes it's better just to have guitar lessons, or just a big guitar and a website or something like that. Nothing to don't try and put too much information.
Okay, no worries.
Cool. All right, so looks like Ben's joined us. Ben, I understand that you guys had a clock change or something in the UK, is that right?
Yep, and I misread which direction we were going.
Right. Yeah, that's all right. Shane said he wasn't sure either, but he worked it out. I think probably the other guys it's the same with them. They're probably expecting that
11.
We've moved with your time, but I wasn't aware that it changed. So if I was aware, I probably would have tried to do something different. But anyway, we'll see if they turn up in 20 minutes. We'll go a bit longer. Okay, cool. So Ben, have you got any questions, topics that you want to cover?
No, nothing specific. We're going to do the reading on Wednesday. Am I right?
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Cool. Because I've got that thing made up as a PDF. It's just a draft, but you can see what we're talking about then.
Okay, so cool. Yeah.
Nothing specific.
Yeah, and Shane sent me across his Sibelius version, which is fantastic. Thank you, Shane. It's just excellent. And so I'm going to try and incorporate that. I'm not sure exactly how I'll do it yet, but I'm going to. What's coming to mind is that I have the G4 parts, and then have a page of Shane's to follow it, so they kind of can do the same level.
Well, that level 1 is the first 2 strings, and then Shane's is clearly the next one with getting that G string.
Yeah, exactly. So, we'll work it out. And what we want, and it's really occurred to me, I think through, I've known it for a long time, but I hadn't really done that much about it. But just the fact that these methods that have been in existence, your PGMs, your Melbay, all of those, they really haven't been doing guitar students any justice at all. And I think in many cases they've destroyed the hope of readers. I'm not trying to make them out like the bad guys, because they were providing something as best they could, and nobody else was coming to the party really. But I think that what's really been missing is that we've been trying to get students to move through these hurdles, which are just too overwhelming for them, to try and learn so much. It's okay if you've got someone who's going to push you and not let go, which happens, but when I look at piano methods, there's a lot more on offer for piano players, and maybe it's because guitar players, a lot of them don't read, that nobody's really put a lot of effort into it because the market is smaller, so they figure if they're going to write a book and put all the time in, they'll rather go to an instrument that's really, I don't really know, but I just know that there haven't really been any guitar reading books that have gone through those progressive steps, literally one note at a time. If anyone knows of one, I don't know it. Okay, cool. So if anyone doesn't have any other topic, what we can do is I had something that I wanted to speak about the other day.
I guess I've got a very quick question that's more like an answer than a topic.
Yep.
With the printed method, I've just been putting it in an envelope, taking it around, knocking on the door. Hello, here's your method. Thanks for asking for it. If you have any questions, let me know. Is that all that you were expecting to do, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a bit of an experiment. I mean, I would certainly, if you're knocking on the door, maybe take the time to just ask them a few questions, and just say, is this for yourself? Just a normal qualifying, and maybe even see if you could book them in for a lesson. I tend to be a little bit. I'm not pushy, but I am going to make the most of that opportunity in talking to them about, someone's here to learn guitar. Here's the method. You can certainly have a go of it yourself, but the point that I try and make is that when you're first learning, that's when you're likely to form. That's when you form your habits, and if you form them the wrong way, then you're going to have a lot of trouble readjusting, and you're just not going to progress as well. It's not that some people don't work it out, and there are lots of examples of people who are self-taught and blah, 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 blah. We know all those stories, but in most cases, those people have done a lot of trial and error, and they've put a lot of time, and they're really, the few guys I know who are very exceptional players and self-taught, so to speak, tended to be the same kind of people who were very, question-oriented. They were asking people lots of questions. They were always looking at what other people were doing. They were always trying to work out how someone was doing it. So they were learning, but they just weren't paying a teacher to teach them.
Yeah, self-researched.
Self-research, yeah, exactly. I always use Hendrix as the classic example. Hendrix, he was famous for turning up to gigs and going behind stage and talking to the guitarists. He was so bold. He would just go behind stage and say, "How did you do that?" Whatever thing, and that's really how he learned. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I want to talk about, but one is, if we're on that topic now, is the actual idea of getting a lot more men who are taking up the free download compared to females. And I think Jude made a very good point on this, that she would be skeptical about giving her details away, and also the fact that she didn't feel that we should be giving it away for free. And that, the market, if you go around the marketing circles, they tell you give away something free, give away free, get them on your list, and then sell them on your list. But I think one of the distinctions here is that these guys are purely internet marketing. So they're looking at selling products online, and they need to get people in somehow. And they don't have really, a lot of time they don't have other options. That's their only way of getting someone on board with them. Now, I will also say there are some very successful online marketers who are not giving away free things. And I've come across a couple of them, and one guy in particular who is one of the most successful going around at the moment, and he doesn't give away free. What he does is he has a video showing his product and then saying, just press that button, it's going to cost you $40. And what they do is they call them tripwires, and basically what a tripwire is, it's a small item that you sell to people at your front end to then get them to go to the next step, because as the stats show, when someone makes a small purchase from you, the trust level goes up. They feel, well, I bought from you before, therefore I can trust you. So if they buy something small, they go through the process, then they go, okay, I know I'm going to get delivered on this product, and I also know they're going to over-deliver. I paid $10 for that, and it was a lot more than I expected for $10. So that's the Tripwire effect. And like I said, there's a couple of people who I've come across who are having great success with that. So what I'm thinking about, I'm going to test it, is that we put the G4 method up on the main website. We'll put a video up that actually demonstrates the method and shows what's basically what they get and all the parts of, and then have testimonials of people, from students that have said, love the method, etc., and then offer it and say it costs this much, and really say that there's a $99 offer to come, and they get the method, they get the lessons, and they come to you guys. So this is selling them off your site to enroll. So they see the value in the method rather than us giving it away free. Actually watch a video to give them the value, to see the value, and then what happens is that they see that it's $99 to do it with you, or if they don't want to enroll with the lessons, then they can buy the method straight off the website, but have the price. So it's not, we've got the price set anyway, so that's okay. But we could also raise the price. It wouldn't matter if we raised the price. But making it so, for instance, you could buy the method at a price to get them to buy, to get them into the system, and then to value the method, which then would make it would incentivize them, and then those people who have bought the method, I think it would be very easy for you to go back and give them offers on how to teach. You could start off with some kind of special offer where when you go through these marketing training and the strategies they use, what they do is you go through and you buy the first product, whatever it is. So let's say it's the method. They buy the method at $47, and then once they've agreed to purchase the method, then it goes, how would you like to get the lessons as well with a teacher for an extra $30? That's it. Bang, pay an extra $30 now, and you'll get 5 lessons with the method. So I'm just thinking about those kind of ideas. So what I'm going to do is just go around you guys and see if any of you got anything to add to this, any feedback, whether you think it's a good idea or a bad idea. So maybe if I just start with you, Shane, what do you think about that? Yes, Shane.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I mean, I haven't really had any success with giving away the method for free. I mean, either with the automatic download, or I've done a couple of the sort of
send them out
starter kits. Yeah. Through the mail. And to my knowledge, I don't think any one of those people have actually booked. There have been some people who signed up online and got the free method and booked, but only because I talked to them, and many of them didn't even open their download.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my point of what's happening on my end from that with that kind of
Cool.
stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea to do the buy the method and then pay the rest for the intro if they're interested.
And it'll really help us to sort of see who values what we're doing. You know, and I think that's what we want. Is we want to get those customers. We want to get customers. We want to get buyers. We're not looking for freebies. You know, people are looking for freebies. If you know they're coming to us for that freebie, then you know they're not valuing what we're doing, and they're not what we're looking for. So, okay, cool. Jonathan, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I haven't had too much luck with the free downloads. The only ones who I've been doing it are ones who are trying to get my details anyway to call me. So they've put because the form just pops up, so they're like, oh, I'll fill that in, and then it's like, okay, no worries, and then I end up calling them back anyway. So, or they've called me. So and the ones who have downloaded it for free, just can't get in contact with them. So
yeah. Okay, great. So Ben, just if you want to chime in quickly and tell us what you think.
Yeah, I think it's good. The one thing that I'm slightly worried about is selling the lessons straight away there. We might all need to start using that thing Paul does. I can't remember what it's called, but his online calendar where students can book an actual time slot without having to speak to him.
Okay, yep. So they'd go through the process. Yeah,
and suddenly they find out the dates don't work.
Sorry, say again.
I was saying if they're trying to book the lessons, they pay the money, then they find out the dates that we do the intros don't work for them at all.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, you can always refund. That's no problem.
Yeah.
And you can kind of put that into it as well. That we've got a guarantee. If we can't find a suitable time for you, then we will refund the full amount. Yeah.
If that's all printed there, then that totally solves it.
Yeah, and it's what we do anyway. We wouldn't even consider anything else. So, but yeah, letting them know that it's okay to refund if we can't find a time. Is good.
I do have a question. When we finish this topic, I'll ask that question.
Okay, cool. No worries. So all right. So I think it's something that we want to try and move on. I'm not going to sort of bang and do it all tomorrow. I'll start on one or two of your websites, and then we'll sort of see how it goes. And I'll also put it on the main G4 website to take the free off, because that's obviously where a lot of people are going first. And so we need to make sure it's not free on the main website, and then you're trying to sell it on your websites. And I'll have to, if we do go that way, I'll have to take it off all the websites. But I think it's the way to go, and I think we just need to get down to where we've got something very valuable, and let's not give it away free. We might be able to later, if we come up with some other idea of giving away something free, perhaps there is something else we can give away, free pick or something. But we don't need to be giving away the actual method for free. Okay, cool. So Ben, fire away. What was your question?
With the intros, I've had maybe 2, maybe 3 people who do the intro first lesson and maybe another lesson, but they don't finish the intro. And from the most recent example, the guy turned up on the first lesson and he said, I'm a personal trainer, I have all these different time commitments. If someone rings me up, I probably will take that because I'll want the money. And I said, fair enough, guitar does need consistency, blah, blah, blah. And then he didn't turn up for week 2, so I rang him in the time slot, and I was seeing if he was on the way or anything. Didn't get through to him, left a voicemail, sent a text. He texted me saying, I'm not going to be able to make the next week either. And I sent a text saying, I really need to speak to you, rang him, got his answer phone, left another message, texted him again, and then he didn't turn up for the next lesson, contact with him since then. And I'm just wondering, how long would you chase people up before you think, look, I'm not even going to consider offering you a refund if it's going to take me 2 hours of trying to catch up to you just to get through to you? The offer's there if you ever talk to me, but I'm not going to keep hunting.
Okay. I tend to take a step back. In other words, when I see a problem and I'm having to solve that problem kind of on the end of the problem, then I want to prevent that problem in the first place. So it's kind of like, how do I put my house, when it's on fire, how do I put it out? I'd rather it not go and get on, get on fire in the first place. How do I prevent it from actually ever getting on fire? So in this case, we've got a student here who is really stating from the first time he met him, by the sounds of it, that hey, I'm inconsistent. Don't rely on me. I'm not going to be here if I've got something else to do. So bang, there you go. I
think probably makes a big deal out of that because I was saying about how we need consistency on the phone in the inquiry, and he was like, "Yeah, sounds good. Let's have this time. Let's go." Can you make that time for 5 weeks? Yeah, no problem. First week, nope.
Okay, so yeah, and look, that happens. People will promise you or agree to things on the phone, yeah, because that's when they've just come, whatever's happened in their life, you've just come back from a concert, they just saw some, got the latest CD from somebody, whatever, and so they're very pumped and excited about learning guitar. They're on the phone, and then the honeymoon is over a week later when they turn up for their first lesson. That's all gone. They now work, money, back into everything else, and so that same level of excitement and commitment is not there anymore. So, and that's okay. It's going to happen. But when they come the second week, or for the first lesson, if you can see that that's not happening, that's when you've got to address it there and then. And I would say in that case, what I try and do, and I think it's a strategy that, it's a persuasive strategy, and it's not that you're trying to manipulate this guy. He obviously wants to play guitar. There's a point a week ago that he really was really pumped about learning guitar, and he'll probably be that way again in some point in the future. So what we want to do is come back to that state that he was in. And if you listen to any of Robin's, he'll talk a lot about states, getting people into a particular state to do something positive. Let me give you an example of changing a state. Yesterday, my daughter, she was not wanting to do her Japanese homework, and my wife was like persistent with her to do the homework, and I could just hear the arguments and the level of tension rising and the whole thing. And as I said to my wife, if you just keep pushing her, she's just going to keep fighting back because it's just a vicious circle. So my wife was getting frustrated and daughter's screaming and whatever. So what I did is I said, do you want a piggyback ride? And that what I did, and she loves the piggyback ride, so I put her on my back, I took her for a walk around, a horsey ride as I call it, and I said, are you feeling calm, you feeling good now? And she said, yes, and all right, let's go back now. And then I sat her down and I said, all right, what do we want her to do? And then we went through the things that we wanted her to do, and then she started doing it, and next thing she's just off and running and really enjoying it. Same thing my wife was trying to get her to do, except the states were not right for it. So I had to break a state by doing that. And so we have to get people back into the right state in order to learn, to get them into a positive state. And in this case, this guy quite possibly is a bit stressed because he needs the money. He's got clients who are all screaming at him that day. Just before he's turned up with you, he's got 3 clients that he's got to get back to for whatever reason. So he's just come in at that moment in a completely different state to when he first spoke to you on the phone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So what you want to do is get him back to that state, and the way you do that, the trick to it is to find out when you first talk to someone and when they're in that high state, what it is that's put them in that state. What is it that's got you excited? Why are you this way? Don't just assume that people are like that all the time, and that's what we do. We assume, that first call, this guy's excited. This is an excited guy, this is how he is all the time. Probably not. The chances are that this is just what's happened due to the events that have occurred in his life recently. So that's why I asked that question, and I don't know whether did you ask the question, why do you want to learn guitar, or what's inspired you to want to learn guitar now?
I normally do, but it's not normally a genuine, heartfelt answer. It's normally, well, I've just always wanted to, or something like that. And that could be a heartfelt answer, but not in that tone.
Yep, yep. And you're quite right, and people will answer in that way. So again, these are, and a lot of what I'm talking about comes from experience. So some things you're going to have to experiment with and test and try different things. But the way that I tended to do that is I would talk about things like just try and just see where the conversation went so I could get to it. Things like, you know, when did you get your guitar? Oh, I bought my guitar about 3 weeks ago. Okay, oh, great. And where did you buy it from? Oh, I bought it at this shop, and yeah, oh, excellent. And was there a reason you decided that day to go and get it? Yeah, I've just gone to a concert of such and such and just saw, you know, B.B. King, and he was brilliant, blah, blah, blah. And I had to have, you know, one of those. So then you find out, because sometimes they're not even thinking in that vein. They're not aware. And when you start sort of going down these sort of roads of inspiration, then you start to discover what it is and why they're inspired. So when they come back into that first lesson and they're in the wrong state, what you want to do is trigger them back into the right state by going back to that moment. And when they, for example, they bring in that guitar that they bought 3 weeks ago, and you go, oh wow, this is the guitar you bought after the B.B. King concert, was it? Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Man, that must have been a great night. You know, did he, you know, how long who was in his band? Do you know who the bass player was? Blah, blah, blah. No, I wasn't sure, but yeah, it was a great concert. Oh man, I wish I was there. You're so lucky. Blah blah blah. And whatever it is, to get them back in that state, and then they're ready to commit again. And you might have to do that every week, in some cases, for a while at least. But it's one way that you can really bring people around and prevent these future problems. Because I don't want to hear that I can't commit. Once I hear that, it's like, well, you know, this relationship's going nowhere, so to speak. You know. All right. Treat every single student as a relationship, and you know what you're looking for is that commitment, that you're committed to them, right? So.
Don't know if I want to be pulling on the thread of. So why did you start this relationship with me?
What do you mean it's you and not me? Yeah. Yeah, it really is, you know, it's no different. It is a relationship, and it's them deciding. It's not necessarily with you, but it's with the guitar, and what we're sort of on the side of the guitar. We're trying to keep their relationship together. You know, if you want to go completely stupid with this, you're kind of like the marriage counselor between them and the guitar. Come on, you guys, get along. Talk to each other. So yeah, it's really in this case. The only other thing I would say here, you said this guy's a personal instructor. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he must understand.
Yeah. At the moment he said it, I said, well, obviously it'll be difficult to find the time, but as a personal trainer, you must know that if you don't commit to something regularly, it's not going to have much effect.
Yeah. Yeah. What I would do is I would get him to say that. Get him, and so when someone says it themselves, and this is another strategy, I can go into the psychology of this, but basically when people say something themselves, even if they didn't believe it, they actually are more likely to believe it when they say it themselves. So in this case, getting him to sort of say, okay, in the case of your clients, when you're training them, what's important? What do you expect from them? And he said, well, I expect them to train every day. You know, and so okay, so consistency is important. Yes, there you go. Same applies for guitar. And you don't want to be you got to be careful that you don't come across as a smart ass. You've got to do it in the right way. You've got to do it in kind of like a friend. Talk to him like a friend. Like you're just trying to show him that you, as his coach, that you want him to do well, and that it's kind of like you're a good coach and he's a good coach, so you're appealing to his good coach, and that is a better way to approach it. That'll get him into the right response. Where you say, look, obviously you're very good at what you do. You're a personal trainer, and you're very committed and dedicated to your client. So, you know, is commitment a big thing in your game? Is it something that, you know, you guys have to? Is it something that you have trouble with clients, getting them to commit? Yeah, blah blah blah, and they get them. Yeah, cool. Okay, now I understand. So, same in guitar. It's no different. And I understand that you're busy and all that, but to do this, to make it work, we need you to practice 5 to 7 days a week. Need you to come every week for your lesson. They're the things, you know, it's the same in your business, that it's got to happen. So, I mean, you did it in a sense anyway, but you might just need to dial it up a little bit more and go a little bit deeper with it.
Cool.
Excellent.
I think I was more worried about coming off the cross as too intense, because remember, that was just around the time that I started thinking, maybe I'm losing people for being just a bit too pushy on the practice. And since dialing it down, every intro is converted, apart from that one who didn't turn up for more than one lesson. So
yeah,
dialing it down to work. So maybe I need to now start thinking, when's the right time to dial it up, rather than always having it set to max.
Yeah, and I think you know, the best advice that I ever got in life, you know, in my life was balance. Everything's balance. There's you can't go to extremes on anything. As soon as you go to extremes, you're in trouble. And so what we're doing here is we're balancing this. Yes, you need to be committed, but hey, I'm not going to come down on you all the time just because you don't get every single day's practice in. I'm not looking for 100% from anyone. I'm looking for 85%. That's, you know, 80 to 90% is what I'm looking for from most people. But if you're going to give me 50%, it just means you're not trying. There's no point if you're just going to do 50%. You may as well go and do something else with that 50% and give it 80 to 90%, rather than 50% here and 50% there, so to speak. So that's where you're trying to find the balance, and obviously the balance, like I said, it needs to be up in that 80+% range.
Cool.
All right. So I guess it's just the timing today. The guys have, because no one else has turned up, so that's all good. So we'll wrap it up there, guys. Thanks very much, and I shall see you at the next hangout. Whenever you guys want to come along. Thanks, guys.
Just before you go, Dave, could you give me the time? Hang out on Wednesday.